Hello there. If you clicked on this video, you're thinking about getting into fly fishing. And I want to talk to you today about 5 things that I wish I knew before I started. So stick with me here. I think after watching this video, you're going to have a lot more confidence getting a fly rod and trying this out for the first time. The first big misconception is that you have to cast perfect to be able to catch a fish. So really where the magic happens is when you're out on the water. Get out of the water and just start fly fishing. Now remember, you also don't need to bomb it out there. I know you've seen a lot of people fly casting and they're hucking it out there 60 feet and you're thinking, holy crap, how am I gonna ever get it out that far? The reality is you don't need to cast it any more than 10 or 20 feet to still catch fish. So be patient with yourself. Casting doesn't need to be hard. It's really, we make it hard up here, right? Just get out there, fling the line out, whether it's a streamer or dry fly, and I bet you'll be surprised at what happens next. And then just continue to practice your cast and you'll improve over time. When I first started, I sucked at fly casting. I completely sucked. I was terrible at it. But I stuck with it, and each year I got a little bit better and a little bit better, and because I just kept practicing, right? And really it's time on the water that'll help you get better at fly casting. So don't worry about it. You don't need to make this too difficult. Just chuck the line out there and you'll be surprised on how close the fish are. Now, if you've gone to a local fly shop, you've probably seen literally row after row after row after row after flies, and they can get pretty intimidating. Don't get caught up in all the different types of flies and different sizes, but really try to look what's happening on the water. Check out to see what you might be seeing flying off the water. You don't need to know the name of the bug. You don't need to have a degree in entomology. Just have a couple of different sizes of dry flies, and getting close to the hatch a lot of times is good enough. So I don't want you to sweat it too much when it comes to matching the hatch exactly. One of the perks of being a member to this channel is I'll send you a PDF of my favorite trout flies, and you won't have to go and invest a crap ton of money, because again, those flies, 90% of the time I'm using those flies. So the next thing I want to talk to you about is thinking that you got to spend $800 on your first fly rod. You don't have to do that. There are some garbage out there online, so beware of those. But if you trust some of the manufacturers that have been out there for a while, you can get a whole entire setup. Rod, reel, line, and sometimes they even have tippet attached to it. I've personally fished the Cortland Fairplay, and that is a great fly rod. I would get a 5 or a 6 or a 5/6 fly rod to start out fly fishing. That's good for a lot of different species of fish. So check out the Cortland Fairplay. I'll leave a link down in the description so you can check that out for yourself. Echo also has a really good one. It's a couple $100 more, and so does Redington. But if you want to get into fly fishing for just over $100 when it comes to rod, reel, the whole setup, Cortland Fairplay really is something that I've used and works just fine, right, for a starter. And I'd get the 9-foot version as well. The other mistake that I made early on was how to play a fish, right, on a fly pole. That's a lot different than a spinning gear. What you want to do when you're playing a fish is it's all about tension, right? You'll learn later about rod angles and rod arcs and all that type of thing. Basically, what you want to try to do is keep tension to the fish. And a lot of times you have a lot of line outs, right? And then you hook a fish and you've got all this line. So you have to create the tension with your hand. Now, if the fish takes you to the reel, fantastic. Now you're playing the fish on the reel. But if the fish isn't big enough to do that, and you're literally hand lining it in and then letting it run when it wants to run, then hand lining it in, right? You're always keeping tension to the fish. You're gonna lose a lot fewer fish. Don't worry about trying to get it on the reel immediately, right? That is not necessary to do. A lot of times I like getting them on the reel because then the drag is playing it and not your hand, right? You have more of a concise way of controlling tension, but I'm not gonna lose a fish because I'm throwing a whole bunch of slack at the fish trying to get it on the reel. So when you're fly fishing, it's okay to hand line it in. I have to tell you, and it's exciting. It feels way different than a spinning rod. I mean, you are directly connected to the fish. You can feel every head shake, every run, every time it does a twist or tries to pull or jump. It is a different experience. But keep tension on the line, keep your rod tip up, right, when you're playing a fish. And if the fish jumps, a lot of times you can put some side pressure on it. It just throws a little less slack to the fish when they're jumping, just to kind of bring the rod arc down. But for now, I don't want you to worry too much about that. But that was a big mistake that I made early on. It was like, okay, now I got a fish on, I got all this line, what do I do next? Right, it's just about keeping tension. The other thing that I wish I would have done earlier is switch things up more, right? One of the things that I teach today is if it's not working in 20 minutes, switch to a different fly, right? You may have one box of flies, but there's probably 24 flies in there. If you're using something and fish are just ignoring it, switch to something else. Switch to a streamer. Switch to a nymph and an indicator, which is like a bobber, and that's what they call them in fly fishing, is an indicator. It's the same thing as a bobber. Or switch to a dry fly. But if they don't work, don't keep fishing the same exact thing all day long, right? Because you're gonna probably get the same result. You're not gonna catch any fish all day long. So switch up every 20 minutes if you're not getting into any fish. The next thing we're gonna talk about is gear, right? As you can see, I have got a lot of gear. Now, I just didn't go out all at once and buy all this gear, right? I've accumulated it over the years, right? I've got several fly boxes, sling pack, net, waders, wading staff, hydro shell, exoskeleton. There's another video that talks about why I have that. Rod holder, 2 different rods, right? This is a lot of years, a lot of decades fly fishing and just collecting a lot of gear. Go pick up a Cortland Fairplay, go put on some hiking pants, go put on some tennis shoes, and go fishing, right? From there, you might want to invest in some waders, especially if you're in the Pacific Northwest, because you probably would be freezing in this particular river after about an hour. Then you're going to want to pick up a net, and if you're going to be fishing a lot of places that have catch and release, you do want to have a catch and release netting. It's just nicer on the fish so that the next person can catch that fish, or you can come back and catch that fish when it's about a pound heavier. So finding a net, and you can find inexpensive nets at your local fly shops. You don't need to spend a couple $100s on a net until you finally want to, right? So you'll start building up gear. A lot of times, your fly box is put in your pocket, right? In a pair of forceps, something to cut the line with and something to pinch the barb with, right? From there, you'll get a gear pack, or maybe it's a backpack, or maybe it's a sling pack, or maybe it's just your regular old backpack. You don't have to get all fly fishing fancy unless you want to. So don't feel like you got to go spend $1 billion, right, to start fly fishing. You literally can spend about $150, $150 to $200 after you bought the rod, reel, line setup, tapered leader's already on it, maybe you roll a tippet, some flies, and a fly box. And then you can decide from there what you want to get later on down the line for Christmas or birthdays or something like that. I don't want you to get caught up in the rhetoric that I got caught up in the beginning, that you had to buy all this stuff. You really don't. And then you have to cast real well. Or, I have to match the hatch perfectly, right, for a fish to eat it. Right, nymphing, you throw a TJ hooker in front of almost every trout, it's gonna eat it. Right, you put on a big stimulator or a hopper pattern, stimulator being just some big foam thing with legs during the summer, fish are gonna come up and blast it. Right, you put on a Sculpzilla, which is like a little bait fish, throw it out there and scooch it back, the fish are going to smash it, right? You don't have to worry about matching the hatch every time that you're out there. Well, I hope that helps you the next time you're out fly fishing. And I did put a video together that talks about all the flies that I use for trout. And of course, if you'd like to be a member, I'll send you a PDF that kind of shows all the flies that I use, how to use them, and also some river and lake techniques as well. All right, everybody, till the next time, fish on.